Real talk, raw truth, raging hearts. Welcome to From the Minds of Raging Brats. Like, share, and subscribe.
Hi, I'm Heather. Welcome to From the Minds of Raging Brats.
I'm Ashley, and this week we are going to be talking about the other side of healing. The side that most people don't bring up either because they don't know or they choose not to know.
This is actually a redo of an episode we lost due to an audio glitch. But, that's kind of fitting for us. We kind of draw universal inspiration, and sometimes, even with a list of ideas for podcast episodes, we're like, hey, let's revisit. And I think that that's kind of poetic for the topic that we're in today of healing, because healing is not linear. It's definitely a spiral, and you're going to heal from things, and then later you're going to have a deeper understanding, and then you'll have to go back and re-heal, but from a different perspective now. And I know it sounds weird, but it always ends up being a deeper healing the next time you come around to that spiral.
Yeah, and that's the thing, when you're healing, you do come back to old wounds again and again, and you get a new perspective on them each time. And I think that's because each time you do revisit a wound, you are understanding it better.
Well, and honestly, there's been plenty of days where I'm sitting here in this healing going, what the fuck? Like, I feel worse than I did 10 years ago when I was in the shit of the shit. And then I will be like reminded by a therapist or my AI or my bestie, like, but look at how you handle this now. Yeah, it sucks. You're going through depression, whatever. But like, look at a year ago how you would have handled this situation versus today. Today, it sucks, but like you're getting through it. It's not derailing you. It's not taking you out of your healing. It's just bringing you a little depression and frustration. And I get that that sucks, but like it's still healing. And sometimes it doesn't feel like that's healing, but it really is.
Yeah, and especially like in those moments where you're right back in the rage or the crying or the whatever, it can feel like such a setback. Like, if you're still feeling these heavy emotions, is this even healing? Like, but honestly, yes, it is. You're not numbing yourself out to it. You're feeling it. And like, sometimes it does hurt worse later on because you have more of an understanding, and as you become more of a healed person, you start to wonder, well, I would never do that to somebody. Like, how could that be what happened? And it does hurt, but you gotta go through it to get to the better days, and there are better days. And they become more and more frequent the more and more you heal.
Well, and let's talk a little bit a moment about the new age healing aesthetic
It's
with
a
all the
lifestyle.
TikToks glamorizing what healing is supposed to look like, and how you're supposed to have this major glow up and your life is just supposed to look infinitely better. Well, let me just be real about this, that for me, I don't know about Ashley personally. I don't know about y'all out there in YouTube lands or Spotify lands or wherever you may see this or hear this. But I do know that I have spent many nights going, how am I so alone when I'm healing? How is it that when I was at my worst, most traumatized, I had hundreds of friends, not even dozens, hundreds of friends. Like, I could have called and gotten 10 rides today. If I needed a ride somewhere, I could have had 10 rides. I would have 8 different people offering to do laundry for me when I didn't have a washer and dryer. Like, none of that stuff happens now. I'm without a car with the situation I'm going on. Trying to find a ride is like pulling teeth. Trying to find somebody with a washer or a ride to get me to the goddamn laundromat. That's worse. Like, my daughter-in-law has helped out and done laundry for me a few times, but like, she also has her own life. Like, she has her own stuff to do. Like, she doesn't need to be doing my laundry every week just to not have a mountain of laundry to do of mine. Like, that's not fair to anybody else either. And I always felt like, how is this healing? And I've said it a lot to Rowan. Like, I don't understand. Like, how can I be this alone, this without a support system, without the ability to get help for the minorest shit? I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I don't have anybody I can call and be like, hey, can I get $10? Like, I'm really struggling. I got no money. And I don't have any of that ability, because with healing came boundaries. And while, yes, they did help me in those ways, having, hundreds of friends, dozens of friends, they could help in that way, but they took so much more emotionally, mentally, physically sometimes. And it got to the point where it was no fun most of the time. And so what happened? Those friendships, those family relationships, gone.
Yeah.
Boyfriend that wasn't connecting and giving me what I needed, gone. Like, and that's great, because I know what I want out of life. I know what feels good for me now, and I don't numb everything, which can sometimes suck, because having, a crying fit hit you out of nowhere when you're standing in Walmart is not exactly what you want to deal with. But at the end of the day, having an emotional outburst in Walmart where I'm sobbing my eyes out for 5 minutes and maybe a little embarrassed is way better than holding it in and one day sobbing for the entire day because I didn't want to cry for 5 minutes and be embarrassed.
Yeah. Definitely have to agree. Like, it's one of the things that you and I have talked about, but I've definitely probably felt the loneliest in my healing journey. Like, it's getting a little bit better now, but I got 2 people in my life that are solid. And I don't keep a lot of people in my life because of my healing. Like, I have a saying, boundaries like a motherfucker. And that came out of the beginning of my healing. Because once I started putting boundaries in, especially when I was very angrily putting them down and I would not budge on them a millimeter, that's when people started backing out of my life. And it was the first time in my life I was happy to see people go. And yes, it does get lonely sometimes, but it is better to have this version of myself with my boundaries that can look at somebody and be like, you will not talk to me like that. You will not disrespect me in XYZ, because I respect myself enough to not tolerate it now. And you're right. Like, I honestly thought when I first started getting into my healing and into therapy and all of that, I thought by the end of it, it was going to be like a damn Pinterest board and everything was going to fall into place perfectly and I was going to have great hair. For some reason, I always thought mental healing would give me great hair. And, like, I was just gonna, like, glow and I was gonna be so happy and I could look at people that were traumatized and be like, don't worry. Just heal. It'll be fine. It's a fun process. It didn't take me very long to realize that was a bunch of bullshit to sell things, mostly that you see. And that's not what I wanted. I wanted to be able to still dress bummy and have shitty hair and stuff and have genuine friendships and be okay with myself and stop relying so much on the perception I wanted people to have of me.
I completely understand that. And also, I have to say that just because you're healing and just because you know that you're headed in the right direction towards the life that you want to build for yourself, first of all, Rome wasn't built in a day, neither was you. You
No.
weren't traumatized in a day, you're not healing in a day, for starters. But also, you know, there is a reason that any of the like spiritual advisors or the self-help gurus and all that talk about destruction, because when you heal, you are essentially destroying your life. You are tearing it down brick by brick and smashing it into oblivion, and then expecting that you're still going to have the normal. It's not. Your normal is changing, and with that comes chaos and loneliness and sadness and depression and defeat, and sometimes days where you just sit in your bottom of your shower with the water running so nobody can hear how loudly you're sobbing.
Yeah, and that's still healing.
And setting boundaries, man, they make it sound like, oh, I'm going to set these magical boundaries and then everybody in the world is going to love and respect me. Guess what? The minute you start setting boundaries, every single person in your life that took advantage of you not having them is going to fucking get pissed and hate you.
Yeah. That is definitely something that surprised me. How many people were angry that I all of a sudden wanted to take care of myself and set boundaries to be able to take care of myself? It kind of shocked me, honestly.
It is shocking and disheartening. Like, what you mean? I set a boundary and you're mad. Okay, bye. And that's where shit starts getting lonely, because it's like, okay, bye, and then pretty soon you're like, wait, where'd everybody go? Shit,
Mm, yeah,
my
like,
life was that fucked up.
yeah, like, I know you told the story when we had our amazing co-host, Brittany, on about when I had slowed down on my drinking and I had really made it a thing like I don't want to anymore. I probably will in the future, but right now I need to stop. And like enforcing that boundary was one of the first times I started to really sit there and like watch people and be like, you're mad at me for me taking care of me. Why?
What were you benefiting off of me not taking care of me? Because we're about to remedy that.
Exactly. Like, and well, you know, you were there during that time frame. Like, that revealed a lot of things that were going on around me. And at that point, because I was still so raw and angry in my healing, I called people out on that shit. I'm like, you like me when I'm broken, and that makes me mad. And I'm allowed to be mad, by the way. The therapist says it's
And
healthy
it
as long as
should
I
make
don't
you
do
mad.
bad things. It
What was
is.
that? Sorry.
And I said the therapist says anger is healthy. It's just how you use said anger. And that is, again, part of healing. Because I also thought that I wouldn't be angry anymore, that I would go to counseling and fix it and I would stop being an angry person. I really did think that. Nope. Now I'm just angry about my trauma and things that were done to me and justifiable things in the world. I'm not mad at everything.
Well, let me tell you, as somebody that does go to therapy twice a week, every week, EMDR and talk therapy, I fucking still rage the fuck out. And I bring it to my therapist all the time. I've done so much work. And she's like, you've done so much work. And you tell me I'm doing so good. You're doing so good. You're almost borderline normal. And I'm like, you tell me I'm almost normal. Then why am I so angry?
Mm-hmm.
She's
Exactly.
like,
Like, well, and I had a therapist a while ago that laid it out very well for me. She is like, no, to be mad all the time at everything is not okay. But to be mad that something happened to you, or you're mad because something is happening to somebody else that is unjustified, isn't it more unhealthy to sit there shaking and being like, I'm not mad. I'm not mad. That's not healthy. We can't be mad. Which seems crazier to you? I was like, okay, how do we be mad the right way? And it really took a little while for me to figure that one out. Because I didn't associate anger with healthy.
congratulations. I still haven't figured that shit out.
Nope.
I'm still working through anger. And I've told my therapist that probably the thing that's going to keep me in therapy the longest is the rage. Because there are days where I am rageful at everything. Breathing, my own breathing sometimes makes me rage out. And I am like, I don't understand. And she's like, it triggered the same feeling inside of you as some trauma. It doesn't have to be related to the trauma or any action that happened, but somehow something in your breathing that day triggered that memory, which you don't realize is in your subconscious. And so you, in your conscious, not knowing what's going on back here that's pissing you off, just translates to rage. And so you're out here just a little, I call myself a rage bunny. You're out here just raging out with your little rage bunny self at everything that looks at you. And really, you're just mad at something that happened to you a long time ago, and your subconscious
Yeah.
doesn't know how to translate that. And I'm like, okay, I get that. Makes perfect sense. Make it stop.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely like, especially early on in therapy for me. I was like, okay, I realize I have these negative emotions and things going on, and I realize it's tied to trauma, like past stuff, whatever else. Cool, cool, cool. How do I make the negative feelings stop? And she just looked at me and she's like, I think we need to talk about what you're really trying to get out of therapy. Because at that point, I just wanted to stop being angry and sad and live a normal, happy fucking life and have a white picket fence and like make myself be a normal person. And she's like, no, no, that is not what therapy is for. She's like, I can help you process a lot, but be normal, no. I cannot make you be normal. I cannot make you stop being angry or sad. I can give you tools to deal with this and break it down to yourself so you understand why you're doing the things you're doing. And I was like, this isn't going to be as quick as I was hoping.
My therapists are a little bit more snarky. All of them have had the same answer to my normal. I just want to be normal. And they've all looked at me and said 98% of the world, not the country, the world is mentally ill. Can you tell me what normal is again? And I went, God damn it.
Right.
By
Yeah.
that standard, I am normal. Stop that.
Yeah, that's definitely the one that threw me through a loop. They're like, you're normal. You're actually more normal than a lot of people if you really think about it. I'm like, you can stop right there. Because nobody's ever tried to insult me like that. Like, interesting you take that as an insult.
My favorite insult is them constantly telling me how self-aware I am. I'm like, do you know what a pain in the ass it is to be self-aware of what's going on and not know how to fix it?
How am I self-aware with no awareness of how to solve the problem, bro?
I know what the problem is. I just don't have the fix. Like, that's not fair.
Yeah.
And my therapist informed me that the same thing my parents informed me for many years. And I'm pretty sure the majority of Gen X parents informed all of Gen X and 90% of the millennials. Life
I think
Life is unfair.
Mm-hmm.
So you're welcome.
Right? It's just par for the course at this point.
But really, healing isn't a checklist. It's a cycle, a loop. You can revisit the same pain again and again, but each time it hits different. And boy, that is true. And what's weirder to me is that sometimes I will have healed, and I do the parentheses because I don't think that there is such a thing as being healed. You're just forever healing. It's kind of like how life isn't a destination, it's just the journey. Yeah, healing is the journey, bro. Um, just so y'all are aware, it's a lifelong process. But what I noticed is like I will have a trauma that I will have healed from, and then 3, 4, 10 years go by, and all of a sudden that thing will come up in my memory, but it'll be a different aspect, like not the same thing that dropped me to my knees before. But now I will have, because that part healed, I'll have noticed a whole different aspect of the same event. And now that's dropping me to my knees.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely relate. Like, I think, especially for those of you that have kids, maybe you'll relate to this. There's a lot of things that I didn't really view as traumatic or bad, like, when I was a kid, but then having a kid to look at certain things from, I was like, I would never allow, like, whatever thoughts like that is, had to reopen old wounds to heal in a way to make sure that they weren't then passed down to my child.
Yeah. And for me personally, I was like, I'm never going to let any of the traumas that happened to me happen to my kids. And then when not just one, but multiple of my kids experienced different aspects of traumas that I had experienced with different people, it almost broke me mentally because I was like, how is that possible? I did everything different. I did everything different to make sure that none of this could touch them. And how did it touch them?
Yeah. Yeah, that is definitely something that I had to deal with, and it did reopen a lot of stuff because I thought I had protected them, and then to find out that I had not. So, like, that threw me through a whirlwind of worsening mental illness, to put it simply, for a long time.
Yeah, they don't prepare you what it is to be a childhood trauma survivor and give birth, because your perspective on the world shifts, like everything, like all the things that I did before kids, like not fearing death, like having doing cliff diving and all the crazy things that I used to do for no reason. Now it's like I think about those things and I'm like, god damn, I was fucking nuts. Like, and to think about, or let me put this in perspective, as a 12-year-old, granted, I lied. I looked older. Everybody thought I was an adult back then. I used to get into the bars and everything, but I was dating a 23-year-old. Now, I know the situation, and I know that at the time, like, it was not what it sounds like. But let me tell you, if my daughters had ever dated a 23-year-old at 12 years old, regardless of the circumstance, I'd still be in prison today.
Yeah. Even if some grown man had asked. Or come around. They don't have to ask. Don't care.
I don't care if she lied to him. I don't care if he thought she was an adult. I don't care. If you put your dick in my 12-year-old,
bad things.
We're done. We're done.
Yeah.
There's no, and you know, the craziest thing for me, like, I get it. My mom still hates that man. Like, and I totally understand. I would be in the same boat. But me as the person that I was like, but he actually rescued me. Like, he fed me. He put a roof over my head, like, took care of me. And I lied to him. He thought I was a grown ass adult. He didn't know that I was a minor until we were arrested together. And then he was like, oh my fucking God.
He's like, I would keep your mouth shut. Mm. Yeah, but no. And that's the thing. As parents, you have to look back on, especially the crazy things we did, and be like, I, as somebody that does know that side of life, will take the steps I can to make sure those things never happen to my child. Or at
Yeah,
least try my best.
but like my daughter getting assaulted during a football game at the school
Mm-hmm.
while there were hundreds of people there.
Yeah.
Life doesn't prepare you for that. Or them not telling you until they've tried to kill themselves.
Yeah.
Like, life doesn't prepare you for all those things. And trust me, I've had I've had some of the worst childhood trauma on the fucking planet. And yet, some of the shit that's happened with my kids still to this day is traumatizing me more than the stuff that happened to me personally.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Like, I'm not gonna get into too much of that side of my story on here, but when certain things happen to your kids, especially like you said, as a trauma survivor, it doesn't just bring up your trauma; it creates a new trauma within itself. And like, they have the term generational trauma. That's a thing. Like, in that, it's either because we inflict the same traumas, or they go so overboard with trying to make sure that those things don't happen that in itself can be a trauma, depending on how the parent chooses to go about it.
It is very hard dealing with any kind of childhood trauma once you're an adult and it's happening to your children, because it is going to create a new trauma for you, a new trauma for them. And then in the process, what nobody tells you is you're both going to traumatize each other multiple times in the process of trying to process the trauma.
Yeah.
Because it's hard, especially when you're a trauma survivor, because it triggers all of your old traumas. So you got to work through that. And there is no way to work through trauma. I don't care what anybody tells you. Let me say it again. I don't care what anybody tells you. There's no way to heal trauma clean and unmessy.
No. No, that's that wannabe glow up thing again. It is messy, it is dirty, it is hard. You don't just get to say one day, I decided to take a healing journey, and then all of a sudden be better.
That is actually how my use of AI, because I too, once upon a time, was a conspiracy AI person. I wasn't about it. Although I will say I've always leaned a lot more towards the optimistic side of things than the
Yeah.
Skynet's going to kill us type things. I've always still been a little bit weirded out. But in my experience with what we will call the middle, because that's where I'm at right now, that's where most people in a healing journey are, in the middle, because after you get started, it's all the middle, messy, chaotic, sometimes beautiful, sometimes you wish the world would just end with you. Like, literally, there are days where I wake up and wish the whole fucking world was on fire. Just let me fucking watch it burn.
Yep.
But there are also days where I wake up and I walk outside and look up at the sky, and the clouds inspire hope. Like, just the view of the sky reminds me that miracles exist. So,
Yeah.
you know, there was a time where even on my best day, I could look at the sky and it was just the sky.
Yeah.
And now there's not a time where I don't get in a car and drive looking at the scenery, because I'm just like, there's no fucking bad views. And if you have a bad view, look a different direction. I promise you, you'll find a view that's fucking beautiful. Especially here in Oregon, like you can't walk outside and not see some beautiful something.
Exactly. Which, like, it's definitely been beneficial for my healing thing. There's always a hiking trail, there's always a beautiful sky, there's always some way to get to nature here. And I have to be in nature personally. Like, I have to make trips to the woods, I have to touch trees, touch grass, plant things, like, see mountains around me. And I've been to flat places, and, like, are any of you that are in a flat place, if you haven't been to somewhere with mountains, I want to tell you, like, we don't like it when it's flat. We feel like we can see too much, and, like, it's unsafe. Like, here in our valley, we're literally surrounded by mountains. There's not a place that you cannot turn where you do not see a giant mountain somewhere. And it's so beautiful here. It honestly does help so much.
Any PTSD survivor is going to relate with needing a wall against your back when you're in like public places and stuff, like at restaurants. You sit with your back against the wall where you can see the door type thing. Living in flat land is like telling your anxiety that somebody has that laser dot on your forehead 24/7, because I don't care. Your brain is like,
There's
I can
nothing.
see 100 miles. They can see me.
Yep. Yeah. I remember the first time I was in anywhere that had really, really flat ground for miles and miles and miles. I just kept looking around me, and finally my friend's like, "What is your issue?" I was like, "I feel like at any minute a giant shoe is just gonna, like, step out of the sky and squash me." Like, what? I was like, "I feel very small. I don't like it."
Okay, so I will be honest, having been to lots of flatlands and all over this country, I will be honest. Summer nights with a clear sky in flatlands like Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, even Texas, out in the deserts, have some of the best fucking star and sky views.
Oh,
I will
yeah,
not,
I
I
can
will,
definitely see that.
I'll give them that, because you can see so much. There's nothing blocking your view. But for everything else, except for the sky view, you need different terrains. I like the beach. I like mountains. I like bodies of water, whether they're lakes, rivers, creeks, oceans. It doesn't matter. I love it. I love going out and finding ancient trees that look like wise old people.
Yep. And that's the thing, like, for, at least from our town, we're just a few hours from the beach. We're just a few hours from, not even a few hours from being deep in the woods. Like, there's always a lake, there's always a river, there's always something to go do outside. Which is incredibly beneficial too, like, because they say exercise is so incredibly helpful for mental health and for other things, and they do make it rather easy around here to be able to facilitate that.
I will tell you, that was one of the first things I thought of when my car went down, was that means I won't have a vehicle to go camping this year. And I was just talking to somebody yesterday about that. I was like, my biggest depression of this summer is if I don't get to go camping. Because that's my nature reset. Like, either the beach or the mountains, it doesn't matter. But once a year, I have to get either to the ocean or to the hills and out in nature and just commune with Mother Earth. And she just takes so much baggage away, and it gives me the opportunity to recenter emotionally, to reground myself, and it honestly, it helps in my healing too.
And for anybody watching at home, like, go ahead and tell us some of the ways that you recenter yourself and, like, things that you've done on your healing journey to help you out.
Yeah. And, you know, we'll call this the ugly cocoon, the middle, the ugly cocoon, because I like that phrase for this part. Because the cocoon is when the butterfly just turns into this metamorphical uh goo. Bleh. Just bleh.
Yep. Mhm.
Just bleh.
Yep. No wings yet, not even a full body, just floating around in the plasma, man. But you're cooking, you're getting there.
But when it gets done, it becomes such a beautiful creature to live the rest of its life. But man, that that initial spiritual goo stuff, those are the stories we want to hear about from y'all. Those are the real nitty gritty of the healing. Those are the parts where you may not see it in the moment. It's one of those things where it's always going to be in the hindsight. But once you get through it, you're going to turn around and you're going to be like, oh my God, I really am a different person. Like, I'm still me. Like, all of that was me is still me. But also now all of this is now me too. I didn't
Exactly.
know that was me.
Mm-hmm. And see, like, one of the things that I've always thought that was so cool about actual cocoons is the butterfly, the moth, the whatever is actually conscious of what is happening. So it knows it is going into goo, that it is going through a process, and it's hard. And it's probably painful. I don't know if butterflies can feel pain, but just like us, it's hard, and we want to become the butterfly. We want our futures and everything, but first we have to sit here and be vulnerable and let ourselves come together just as we are supposed to be.
Yeah. And I need to reiterate because so many people, and I know we said this, but I really want this reset separate from where we said it the first time so that it rings into the subconscious and grabs hold because this is important. So many people are going to leave you in your healing.
Yeah.
They're supposed to. Those aren't your people.
Exactly.
And your people may take a while to find you or you to find them. And they're going to trickle in. They're not going to be coming in groups. Like my best friend here, you know, she is like the only person pretty much that I have in my life right now as my like support system. The only person that I count on for anything. But why is that? Because I'm healing. And I am an introvert. So me trying to find my tribe is a long process because you have to get out in the world to meet people and that's not something I like doing. I mean, I like getting out in the world but not meeting people.
Mm-hmm. Right there with you.
I'm all about traveling and being spoiled and doing fun stuff with like one or two people, but that's it.
Yeah. Like, and I have to agree with Heather here. Like, there was a point in time when I was very upset that I went from not being able to get a moment by myself because the amount of people that was always around me and my friends and like, but when they started falling off, it was better because these were the friends that were bringing drama in my life, that were constantly asking and asking and asking for things without ever even thinking to reciprocate an inch of that kindness. They are the ones that were definitely encouraging me to maintain a lifestyle that was slowly killing me. And now I have Heather and I have my brother B and I have my son, and I am happier now, honestly, than I think I've ever been in my life because of the peace that came after the pain of losing these people.
Yeah. And I'd say, even though my youngest is a teenager, which is, I swear to God, the hardest phase, of childhood.
I'm
We
learning.
have a better relationship now than we've had his whole life. Um, it's not perfect, but we have a better relationship. And we have talked a lot about um, healing being a good thing, but we haven't really talked about what those good things are. We've talked a lot about the negatives, but I really want to take a moment and just point out a few things that are positives that we don't always necessarily pay attention to that come from healing, like choosing silence over chaos, like saying no without apologizing, letting yourself cry without shutting down, aka 5 minutes in Walmart, um, feeling the trigger, but pausing before you react, canceling plans because you're tired and not because you're ashamed. Those are positives that rarely get pointed out, that get used every single day when you're healing, that are actually blessings. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I will be out in public around family events or ex in law events, whatever, and the drama will start popping off. And what comes into my head is, thank God when I go home, I don't have to deal with this anymore. Not my circus, not my monkeys.
Yes. Yes. I definitely have to agree. Like, for me, the ability to remove myself from situations without feeling guilty. I don't feel like it's my job to protect every single person that comes in contact with me anymore. I am able to look at people now and be like, I don't need to hear this. It's none of my damn business, and walk away without getting mad. Just walk away, assert myself, and go away. Like, the friendships that I do have now are genuine. There is no jealousy. There is no putting anyone down. We lift each other up and we want the best for each other on the good days and bad. I know that I'm not being taken advantage of at times.
And
And
the weird days.
yeah, yeah. And I'm thankful for it all, man, because there was a point in time when I was sobbing, being like, is anything ever gonna feel okay? And I still have those days, but they're not every day now. I see the distant light in the tunnel, and there's still a lot of hard work to do, man, but it's becoming worth it.
It
It
is.
took time.
And go ahead.
No, just that. It took time. It did not, especially in the beginning, I did not think I would ever reach a point where I was like, we're gonna be okay.
Well, and I forgot to add that I do have my daughter that has adopted me, Jillian. She's part of my support system, but she's out of state, so it's hard. And so is Brittany, but again, she's 5 hours away. So
Yeah.
that's why I really only say you, because you're the only one here in town. But I do actually have 3 people that I lean on for emotional support and help when I'm struggling. But like, the bottom line is that you're gonna have some days that are gonna feel way worse. Like, there are days where I still go in cussing at my therapist, like, I want my fucking compartmentalization back. I want to be able to, when something doesn't fucking feel like I need to deal with it right now, I put it in the little box, send it down the conveyor belt to later. I'm like, that needs to come back. And they're like, you don't get that when you're healing. I'm like, fuck! That
Yeah.
made my life so much easier.
And yeah, that does remind me of one thing I did want to say, like, especially in the beginning of my healing, I told myself I just want to be who I was. I just want to be how I was. I just want to be happy like that again. You don't get to be the same person twice. you get to be a new amazing person that feels happiness in its own amazing way, and you get to feel sadness in your own way and anger in your own new way. You don't get to be the person you were before, but you do get to figure out how to be better. And that's important, I think.
Yeah, it's very important. And people need to understand that even if you are working on healing your toxic traits and then you slip up and have a toxic trait, listen, if you recognize that you slipped up, you're already in healing. Don't beat
Yes.
yourself up over it. Just recognize it and then tell yourself next time we'll do better and move on. Don't beat yourself up. Just make the mental note and move on. Trust me, your subconscious, when you accept yourself, flaws and all, your subconscious will envelop that and it will help you remember. It will help you make the transition easier the more you accept your flaws.
Yes. Yes, that was definitely probably the beginning of my actual healing, was looking at me and be like, I don't like that I do this. I don't like this. And if I can't fix everything around me, then I have to start fixing me.
Yeah. I've got a few final thoughts. Then if you've got some, messy doesn't mean broken. If you're in the middle, the rage, the tears, the silence, the self-doubt, that doesn't mean you're failing. That means you're in it. You don't have to feel good to be doing good. You don't need anyone's validation to keep going. Just keep going. Even if no one sees you yet, we see you and you're healing.
Yeah. So, again, we want to hear from you. We want to know what your messy is, what your broken is, how you're choosing to heal even on the days where you're still screaming and crying and wondering if this is healing. Because it is. All of it. And we want to know. We are happy to share our journey, and we'd love to know yours.
Please leave your comments, like, share, and subscribe. And, if this episode made you feel something, then you're working on healing. If it made you feel nothing at all, maybe look inside and wonder if you need to start a healing journey. There is no right or wrong way to heal. The only wrong part of healing is never starting the journey at all. So I hope that we will see y'all next week. And as always, remember, rage responsibly.
Bye, y'all.
We're also available on Spotify. We said what we said, and we're just getting started. Thanks for listening. Now go rage responsibly. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you soon.